introduce yourself to the committee. You have 3 minutes. We'll let you know when you've got 1 minute left. Okay. Just press the middle button. There you go.
Are we on? I'm Kal-Weiss. I'll also be speaking on behalf of myself in a minute. But I'm John Dix tonight. So how many failures are acceptable? When do you say enough is enough? It seems that in Barnet, Capita can do whatever they want and they will still keep the contract. The really important report, Appendix C, is kept secret from Barnet residents. Yet we are the recipients of the poor service and have no chance to see how the decision was made to keep pensions and highways with Capita. The Safety, Health and Wellbeing Service is coming back, not because a strategic decision was made, but because, as the report notes, the service is provided from outside the borough by Capita in another local authority, whose contract with Capita ends in July. The report acknowledges that Highways has suffered from a lack of senior management for a prolonged period. Have you questioned why Capita have been unable to recruit? Is it the pay? Is it the benefits package? Is it the thought of working for Capita, a company whose share price has fallen from £13.20 4 years ago to less than £1 today? Either way, Capita are being paid for a poor service which would have included those senior management costs, even though there is no one in post. Councillor Thomas has frequently said that it is not about who provides the services, but the quality of the service. The problem is the quality is dismal, with your own senior staff, leaders and commissioners rating it as inadequate. Some of you may say it's too expensive to cancel the contract. Is that an assumption or a fact? I managed to get the full, unredacted copy of the termination clauses, and to me, the cost looks comparatively modest, given that Barnet funded most of the capital expenditure and will be liable for redundancy costs at the end of the contract in year 10 anyway. The loss of Capita's profit is capped at $903,686, where the contract is terminated between years 4 and 7. So what's the problem? You have missed an opportunity to look at how the council can be reorganized in a more cost-effective way, and you are sending a signal to Capita that they can do whatever they want and get away with it. I call on this committee to make Appendix C public and bring in an independent expert to review the process and findings.
Thank you. No, that's fine. That's absolutely okay. Sorry to ask you, Pat, but would you like to give your statement as well? I understand you're all right. Just to be clear, that was Mr. Dix's statement.
I'm Kal-Weiss, speaking on behalf of myself. Okay. Let's start with a look at Capita's 2018 annual report, page 31. Southampton, Sheffield, and Birmingham city councils are terminating their large contracts ahead of their contracted end dates. Capita will help local authorities with a smooth transfer back to local authority control. Capita have put in writing their commitment to helping cash-strapped local authorities regain control of contracts. Why are you, our Barnet councillors, not brave enough to take action? Moving on to the Capita Contract review, the report from Opinion Research Services was clear. Most services should be returned to in-house control, and the council should be brave in remodeling its provision. Let's be clear, the reason we are reading the report on reviewing Capita is the failure of commissioning. But this report completely rules out any other services returning and relies upon commissioning to ensure services are delivered despite 6 years of failure and an unexplained $145 million extra pay to Capita. And the council's review report makes even more sober reading. The reason you have brought HR and finance back in-house was a need to improve strategic control. What about the rest of the services? Do they not also require strategic control? Here are 4 examples. Highways, key concerns related to service quality, lack of senior leadership, no highway director in post. Highways was rated the 2nd worst public-facing service after social care direct. Shaw, issues about consistency and support. lack of sufficient strategic control, pensions of failing service, seed service, strong case for change, need to introduce more strategic control, shift of management resources from RE to the council, current delivery lacks flexibility to respond to changing needs. In addition, the report clearly recommends a change to a simpler commissioning model, which goes back to another Barnet report from the 17th of January 2019, and I quote, with broad support for bringing commissioning and delivery together with a simpler organizational structure and dissolving the commissioning group, unquote. There is little evidence that our contracts with outsourcer Capita have brought residents good services. According to figures provided by Mr. Reasonable, Capita outsourcing hasn't saved money either. Concerns of residents recorded from the report were clear. The view was largely negative, they wanted to improve services, and 3/4 disagreed with the phase review. And in-house revision was a clear preference of residents. So what could be the reason to continue with this outsourcing nightmare? May I remind you that you have been elected to represent and work for all the residents of Barnet, not just those whose politics you share. The conclusion of this report is clear. Despite the clear case for simplifying and restructuring the council services back to in-house control, you won't do it. Let's face facts. This decision is political in nature and not what is best for Barnet residents.
Thank you. I appreciate your honour, Mr. Dick, but then you quoted from his report where you said that, the note that Mr. Dick says is that overall it is clear that costs have been much higher than expected. I don't see any evidence for that in his report. I don't see evidence for that in what he's written. I just see the list of what it costs.
Okay. Can I answer that?
So, do you have that information?
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but I could get that information for you. All you have to go to is Mr. Dix's blog, and for years he's been writing about how funding is not being saved.
In this report that he's given us.
That's not what I'm referring to.
Okay.
I'm referring to his reports over the last however many years that we are not saving money by using Capita.
You see,
can you prove to me that you are saving money using Capita? Could you?
Very easy.
No, you can't.
You're asking me the question, and that's my answer.
Okay. My point to you is that you have not, or Mr. Dix has not, in this session, given us any evidence.
So what?
Can I just say that I'm a resident of London Borough of Barnet? What I'm saying to you is, from what I understand, from what I have seen, I do not see that we are saving money, which justifies having Capita controlling us. You're the councillor. I'm not the councillor, not yet.
So I can reassure you that in everything I have seen, I am entirely comfortable and convinced that we are saving money.
I'm so glad that you're reassured.
£150 million more.
I'm really glad you're reassured. We can have this back and forth, but I completely disagree with you.
Fine. Thank you. There is evidence for this.
Right.
We're not exchange. Thank you for answering those questions. Councillor Zinkin and then Councillor Mitchell.
Just as a point of
So you need to
just as a point of clarification, I've had many discussions with Mr. Dix about this point, and it's a little bit more nuanced than simply saying it's not saving money. Mr. Dix's point is very clear, which is he accepts that the core services may have saved some money. His argument is that the money we have spent on the extra services, he thinks we have paid too much for, and on that there is an argument to be had, and he and I would probably disagree on that. But on the core point, do you understand that Mr. Dix actually agrees that we save money?
Do you want to ask me a question about what I've said? Because I can't answer for Mr. Dix. I'm very happy to talk to you about what I've said in my piece.
Okay, well that's the reply. And there's a question from Mr. Dix.
Any questions for me? Holly Kal-Weiss?
And Councillor Mitchell has a question for you.
Minister?
Councillor Mitchell, just want to see your answers.
Thank you, Chair. Just in two parts. I would just say back to Councillor Zinkin that I think Mr. Dix's point is not merely about the cost of the services, the fact that they're not delivered in front of us. I think my question to you is a bit slightly different, which is you mentioned that some other councillors are looking to bring services back to the house. Do you have a little bit more detail on those? I think Birmingham is the one that most particular relation to us. Do you have more details about that?
Do I personally? I actually was reading from Capita's annual account, so I don't have it, but if you want it, I can get it for you. Yeah. As far as I understand, they've already brought back many of their services. I think their IT service was brought back, which is interesting, because Capita's supposed to be the expert in IT, so I found that really quite amusing.
It wouldn't surprise you to learn that where
Can you hear him?
Sorry.
No, it's a bit nearer.
I think you may be interested in this. I think all the Labour members of this committee were around when we signed the contract. One of the things that Capita told us, and in fact, Councillor Finn, if he's here, hello. Good evening. One of the things that we were quite frequently and quite loudly told was that Capita were the best at delivering IT services, and we subsequently discovered, for example, that they didn't have a gold standard ITDR system, and that should we wish to have one, which is what we were paying for, we'd have to pay them to design it. So we agree that their IT system didn't quite been up to scratch.
And I have to say, what I've heard from people who use their services is that IT is absolutely not up to scratch. They've had huge problems with it. I think particularly the social care, the adult social care. Any other question for me?
Sorry, can I just recall what Capita...
I don't want to take up too much time because other people want to speak.
As you mentioned my name, and I must respond to something. Can you remember what Councillor Finn said about the savings that Capita will make per month over the course of the contract?
You said it would always get better and better. And it
How
did,
much did
didn't it?
Councillor Finn say
Well, he
the savings will be per month, and how much are they per month? And did he call that? No.
You asking me?
Yeah.
As I know I'm not Mr. Dick, so I don't have that problem.
I'm not quite sure who you are at the moment. You're not Mr. Dick, so who are you? You're Miss...
Sorry, you're referring
Don't be so
rude!
You've already been in trouble once for being rude to residents.
What Councillor Finn said...
If you would listen, you would hear who she is.
...of £1 million per month. That's £12 million a year under the Capita Contract. Over a period of 10 years, there'll be a saving of £120 million.
And how much have we paid out?
You look it up and you'll see...
How much money have we paid out for the head of highways who's not been employed? How much have we paid for that?
You
You're doing awesome job then. Everything's wonderful. Why are we all here?
Thank you for the question.
I think we should stop so people can have
It has been answered.
chances.
Thank you.
Should I let other people?
Yes, I think we've got two more. Caroline Pose. Caroline Pose.
I'm Caroline Powers from VAPS. I'm as Tears Away All. She's done a statement, emailed it to me, so I'm reading out her statement. She's also from VAPS. Okay.
You're not Ditch.
Sorry.
You're not Mr. Ditch.
No. No. Okay. Okay. No.
I think you have 3 minutes. I think you've addressed this pretty before.
Yeah. Okay. So this is Tears' statement. Thank you for the opportunity to address this committee today. Unfortunately, I can't be with you in person because I'm a victim of the EasyJet model for which you have been aspiring. This is a perfect example of the failures of this model. EasyJet sold me a cheap service, then it was unable to deliver it, as despite huge profits it's making for my and others' customers, it cuts corners, so its aeroplanes operate with tired staff, albeit they're nice individuals, planes that are not equipped enough, and therefore late schedule. My plane for last night's flight was an hour and a half late, and when further delay was caused by an ill passenger, it got too late to fly as the crew was overstretched and tired. When we finally took off a day late, there was a further hour-long delay because they waited for a missing part. This ended up costing EasyJet more in hotel costs, reimbursement of expenses, and compensations to a plane full of passengers, and costing me more in a loss of a day's work and in missing the pleasure of your company. I am not a woman of numbers. I rely on John Dick's Mr. Reasonable for the numbers, as should you. I do know, however, the impact of bad services on me and my neighbours. So when I see in the Officer Recommendation number 6, a recommendation to strengthen the management of the highway service, I despair. Because, as you may have seen in the Potholes Photos exhibition on your way in, our roads and pavements for which Capita Run Highways is responsible are in a terrible condition. I have neighbours who dare not walk out of their front door for fear of a fall on a broken pavement. As an adult social worker, I know very well that they are right to be so cautious, but this is contrary to maintaining well-being of your residents, and it is a far cry from Barnet, a good borough to live in, as the previous leader of the council used to boast. When my neighbours and I brought this up in a residents' forum last summer, the Director of Highways asked me to send her photos of all the broken pavements in our street. Not only is this a job for this services team member, I had to stop every 2 steps and fill most of the pavement in Queen's Avenue. No wonder that whenever I mention to colleagues that I have clients in Barnet, I get a deep sigh of solidarity in response. No wonder that I get this sigh whenever I mention the name Capita or the fact I'm a resident in Barnet. I beg you and demand from you to do the sensible and responsible thing by Barnet residents, your electorate, end the 2 contracts, bring the services back in-house under your and our full control, and kick out Capita. The end.
Last, Barbara Jacobson.
In reporting the outcome of the consultation on the Capita Contracts review, Item 7 makes clear that the majority of people consulted wanted all services brought back in-house and had a negative view of the quality of services provided by Capita. There was also little support for a phased approach, with particular concerns about the need